Welcome to the show. Since it's your first time, please introduce yourself and the company.
Sure. I'm James Everingham, the CEO of Guild.ai, building an agent control plane.
Okay.
This is important because my agents are out of control.
Yeah. I was very interested. They're
going to get worse.
Yes.
We're here for you.
Yes, I was very interested in orchestration, what's happening with Gastown, some of the stuff we've been seeing with OpenClaw. How long have you been working on this? And then where do you think, what do you think the correct user interface, the correct user experience paradigm is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you just wrote, I was reading your post about the 2026 being the year of agents and orchestration. And first off, completely agree with that. And what we're seeing, though, is once you start getting these agents in your infrastructure and they're starting to come in pretty heavily into a lot of companies, the next problem becomes controlling these things. It's like gremlins. The first one's fine until they start multiplying and taking over and pulling levers in your infrastructure. They can cause a little chaos. So what we have built is an infrastructure layer that provides governance and control around these. You can centralize them, you can run them efficiently, you can give them and control what they have access to and what they don't. You need observability in order to figure out what they did, what they touched, and who can get access to configuring them. So that's where we're coming in. We ran into this problem. A lot of us came from Meta. We were working on the developer infrastructure teams, and we were working on getting the engineers to use agents to embed into the infrastructure. And we got that to work. And that basically highlighted the next problem is okay, now you have lots of these. We think there'll be more than 10. We think you'll have thousands of these in your infrastructure at some point. Then suddenly, security pops up. And if you're in a regulated business, compliance pops up, and you need a layer to control this. Agents are non-deterministic, and you need a deterministic layer if you're going to have a stable infra layer.
How much is just cost benefit important these days? I've seen crazy bills from people that are orchestrating a ton of agents, and it starts to creep up on you. Like, wait, you spent how much on tokens for that to-do app? I don't know if that was a good trade. And I imagine that in the enterprise, if you're talking about deploying fleets of agents to hundreds or thousands of employees, you could be looking at a really big inference bill, and monitoring that seems important too. But is that something that is just too abstract for clients to demand at this point?
Not at all. That's actually one of the top requests we're seeing. Some of the customers that we're engaging with early, literally one of them had this problem is they had a monthly budget, and it's built for single player, so that engineers are off running these on a separated server or on their laptop. One engineer blew through their entire budget in 12 hours and they didn't know. So, building a centralized place where you can put circuit breakers and say, hey, turn this thing off if it gets too hungry, or, be able to report and understand where your spend is, but not just where the spend is what am I getting for that spend? And you need to be able to measure the impact of these as well.
I feel like you're at the tip of the spear. What type of companies are being most aggressive about adopting fleets of AI agents these days?
Yeah, it's the timing is really interesting because we're seeing many of the customers are now just leaning into it. It's last year it was experimentation. We've got one agent. It's a really interesting demonstration or example, but now they're all starting to scale. So we've been talking with small companies and large companies, and interestingly, they all seem to be at this same phase where we've now figured out that the models are powerful enough to operate tools and to be able to be part of our infrastructure. So we're seeing it across the board. It seems to be hitting all these companies at once.
Okay, so evenly distributed across scale and stage. What about industry? Are there particular industries that are more rapidly adopting fleets of AI agents?
Yeah, I think that there is some little bit of differentiation there. Of course, some of the more, the companies that are a little more tech forward, they map up to what we traditionally would look at as the early adopters and the laggards. It's the same. So The highly regulated businesses are slower by design because they can't take risk. And one way to think about it is the companies that we see really leaning into this is, look, there's a lot of pressure for competition and being able to move faster right now. So I think that the calculus between risk and the consequences of failure has changed. People are willing to take on a little more risk and try these things. But our aim is to allow them to move fast while still reducing that risk in their infrastructure.
What kind of tension is there between, like I can imagine a world where Guild provides all of the enterprise infrastructure, so somebody can create an agent and effectively give it access to Guild, and that gives it access to the enterprise. But a lot of companies will want to actually own the full stack. How do you think about that tension as well as opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity. Right now, what we're seeing is that a lot of companies are off building sort of small versions of this internally, and it's not their core competence. They don't want to build it. They don't want to maintain it over time. It's not going to get better. They don't have the specialized expertise to do it well. So what we think is that companies are really open to using this as a service. And one thing that's important is that, being vendor neutral and model neutral is also important, because people don't want to be locked into one vendor, because the competition right now is things are, they're leapfrogging each other and they're hopping from model to model. So, vendor neutrality is also important here.
Totally.
What about the types of activities, the types of use cases for fleets of agents that you're seeing? I'm interested to know about this. There's a lot of narrative around like, oh, you're just gonna go vibe code your CRM and rip out that legacy software. But it just feels like with agents, you're so much more likely to just go pull your roadmap forward and go deliver more value for your customers. Maybe you'll go ask for a contract renegotiation, but what are you actually seeing?
Yeah, sure. So the interesting thing is we're seeing the most innovative agents come from our customers and not ones that we thought of. Some of the favorite ones that I've seen so far is this onboarding agent. There was an agent that made the code base sentient. And so instead of saying, hey, I want to check out these files, you could say, check out this feature. And it would say, oh, that's these files. Would you like a system diagram?
Sure.
And it would paint you a system diagram. Do you want to know the history? And you could have a conversation with it. Another one, or we're seeing these agents. And by the way, agents can get executed not just by a person, but by a tool and by an event. So we had a risk analysis agent that when it gets pulled, like when the CI/CD system pulls from source, it would analyze the risk. How likely is this diff going to take the system down? And it can let low-risk diffs go through and high-risk ones stop. So things like this can help eliminate holiday code freeze of the code base. So those are a few, and they can expand way outside of just development. They can go into all of these different workflows. Anywhere where there's an integration, prompts, and evals, you can make use of this. We have one in ours that doesn't allow duplicate bugs to happen. So hooks into Git, fires an event, the agent goes and says, this is a duplicate bug already, it'll just mark it. With the Guild system, though, we were able to just go in and natural language interface just say, hey, don't make it so it's not possible for duplicate bugs to exist in our company. And it just went and did it behind the scenes, installed the agent, set it up right, and boom, that wasn't possible for any engineers in the company.
Talk to me about where Guild sits in a world where I build a product that is effectively a fleet of agents. Maybe you call me a rapper, whatever, but my customers love the product, which is heavily agentic. I'm using Guild, your product, to orchestrate, and then I want to vend that into a company. Am I white labeling you? Am I using you internally and then my customer doesn't know? Are they going to be wanting to use Guild on their side? Where do you fit in that stack? Yeah, so one of the things that we found is that a way for these agents to be, for engineers and for companies to learn how to use these is by looking at them and seeing it. So we have something we call Agent Hub. Okay. An Agent Hub will be a public surface. So
companies can have internal agents that are private, but they can also push them externally, and they can be a series of agents that work together. We look a lot like GitHub in that way, where you can go, you can find agents right on the surface that might work for you. These could be distributed by third parties or people that are building agents as products. And within minutes, they can just authorize, set up a workspace, click, and boom, have these things working in their workspace. So we're big open source believers. We've been in that space our entire career. So, there is an aspect of that we're bringing to this agent marketplace.
Very cool. Well, we want to ring the gong for you. How much did you
What's
raise?
the news?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of tough following that $4 billion one that you just announced, but we will go. We raised $44 million. Series A. It's our second round. Apologies, it was 30 million plus 14 in our seed. We raised both of these rounds within 4 months.
That's incredible.
And who participated?
Yeah, any companies I might have heard of involved?
Yeah, sure. Like our lead investor was Google Ventures.
There we go.
So GV, we have NFX involved. We had Khosla Ventures came in this round.
We love Khosla.
Scribble Ventures.
Fantastic.
Accrue Capital. Web Investment Network.
Amazing.
I think I got them all.
You will have missed one, and that one person will hold a grudge against you forever.
Oh, of course.
That's a great lineup.
The rule of lists.
Yes.
You always forget one. It'll probably be the biggest one too, right? So.
But thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, team.
Goodbye.
You too.